Good morning, everybody. Hope your Monday's off to a great start, and appreciate you having part of that start with me today. And if you will go ahead and turn with me to the 109th Psalm, Psalm 109. We'll be picking up in verse 6 there, and like and share, and we will dig right into a passage that I admit I don't know what to do with. I mentioned Saturday as we started on this psalm. This is the last of the imprecatory psalms, and it is probably the most vicious, harsh of the imprecatory psalms. And so, starting in verse 6, there is really a dramatic change, two changes really in the text. Again, the first 5 verses are really just kind of summary of the situation. You'll also notice that the first 5 verses, you have the word they. You have a lot, the plural word they compassed me. They are my adversaries. They have rewarded me. Over and over we see they. Then beginning in verse 6, we notice that the language changes to singular. Um, he shall be judged. Let him be condemned. Let his prayer become sin. And so, what we have to do then, with this beginning in this section, is decide who's talking. Is this still David praying for his adversary to be judged, to be disciplined, or is there something else going on here? And there are two theories. Again, one of them is obviously that it is still David praying for God to execute justice against his attacker. The other thought, and I'm leaning that way today. Because I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't think we really know. But after preparing for today and studying, this is where I'm leaning, and this is how I'm going to deal with this text. If you disagree, fine. We're not going to fight over it because I acknowledge that this could be. There's some excellent scholars on both sides of this argument. One argument again is that this is David praying for God to execute justice on his attacker. The other argument is again that we see that it changes to singular. He, him, his, over and over. That this is not David's words, but these are the words, the desires of David's enemy. This is the prayer that David's enemy has against David. I'm kind of, the more I've studied it and looked at it, I think that I don't think you can ignore the fact that, again, the first 5 verses have they over and over. And then all of a sudden, from verse 6 down to verse 19, we see singular. The he and the his. Another thing is, honestly, to me, it just doesn't sound like David. David, it just is so harsh that it doesn't seem to be the words of David. It seems to be David's enemy who is coming, who is talking here. And so that's the way, again, this morning I'm going to approach this passage. Again, if you, and there are plenty of people, plenty of very way smarter than me who would disagree, and that's their prerogative. If you would have asked me Saturday, as I started on this psalm, I would have been the other way. But again, after studying it over the weekend and thinking about it, I'm coming around to that school of thought that it is David's enemy who is talking. And hear the words. He says, "Set thou a wicked man over him, and let Satan stand at his right hand." And so, again, with that interpretation, this enemy is hoping that David would fall under the influence, be attacked by Satan, that Satan would be able to attack him and come against him in this setting. And so he's again, that tells us of the nature of the attack that this person is bringing against David. That he is again hoping that David would fall under the influence of Satan. He continues, says, when he shall be judged, let him be condemned, and let his prayer become sin. Again, he's continuing to pray that David would be condemned, that David would be judged and found guilty by God and be condemned against him, and that his prayers would go unanswered. And so, again, he is just this person is desiring the utmost harm against David. Let his days be few. Let another take his office. Again, that verse is one that really leads me to believe that it's not David saying this, but it's David's attackers who want him out of his office. And so that's another reason, again, to believe that this is the words, the attack of the enemy that are going here. Let his children be fatherless and his wife a widow. Again, that just doesn't sound like the words of David. But the person, you see the prayer. I don't need to explain that. You see the nature of the adversary. I mean, this is pretty vicious when you start praying that not only would he lose his job, his role, his position as king, but that he would end up dead. That his children would be fatherless, his wife a widow. So he wanted, again, he wanted not only David to suffer, but he wanted the whole family to suffer. And so this could easily also lead to the belief that these were the words of Absalom, because Absalom did try to take David's position. Did in fact for a period of time assume the throne. It could also have been Ahithophel who was complicit in that activity. He goes on, says, let his children be continually vagabonds and beg. Let them seek their bread also out of their desolate places. Let the extortioner catch all that he hath, and let the stranger spoil his labor. Again, wishing a curse on his children, which again just does not sound like David's words at all. But he wants to see David dead and David's family destitute. He wants to see them again, his children begging for survival. Let there be none to extend mercy unto him, neither let there be any to favor his fatherless children. And so again, we see the depths of the anger, the vile nature this person has, and again, I believe towards David, that he wants to see again this this attack not only come against David, but against his children. Let his posterity be cut off, and in the generation following, let their name be blotted out. Again, I don't really need to explain what he's saying. I want David's family to end. I want his family tree to be cut off and be a stump. I want, I don't want there to be any descendants of David. I hope they all die. Is his prayer. And he continues, let the iniquity of his fathers be remembered with the Lord. Let not the sin of his mother be blotted out. Let them be before the Lord continually, that he may cut off the memory of them from the earth. I've had some people who didn't like me. I know that's a surprise. You have too, most likely. I doubt if you've ever had anybody pray a prayer of that nature against you. But again, it shows I think one of the lessons we learn from that is just how far sin can take a person, how far an evil person can go, that they would stoop to those levels to hope not only that, again, that David would die, but then wish harm on his family, on his children, and I can tell you there is nothing else. You won't find another passage in all the Bible with a curse, with a such a harsh statement against someone. And so, it's really hard, to be honest with you this morning, to draw a lesson from something so vile. But I'm going to take a swing at it, and here it is. Again, and it's difficult because we don't know who the author is. But again, it shows us just how far sin can take us. This is one of those passages. You ever see a news story on television and somebody has committed some horrible crime, and you look at it and you go, "Wow." I can't believe. One of the things that always comes to my mind when I think about that is the lady in South Carolina 25, 30 years ago. It happens, seems like all the time now, but I guess it was really one of the first times we'd ever heard of that, where the lady, she said her children was kidnapped, and the truth was she had drowned them in the lake herself. And you watch that and you're like, wow, how can anybody be that evil? How can anybody be that mean? When you read this psalm, you read it and you're like, wow, how can anybody hate someone that bad? And the answer is sin. The answer is evil and the influence of Satan. And so the lesson I want us to draw this morning from this text is to beware. You see it pinned in the front of a lot of people's Bibles. And you hear this phrase, that sin will take you further than you want to go, keep you longer than you wanted to stay, and cost you more than you wanted to pay. And again, I got to assume that the guy who wrote that had this curse against David, once upon a time had a good family, had a good raising, but somewhere along the way, sin had got him and took him down a terrible road. And sin can do that to a person. So I want to encourage you to keep your guard up, to pray for others. There are people out there battling and fighting every day to stay true to the Lord, to stay on His path, and to be obedient to His commandments. And so let's pray for each other that we don't allow sin to creep in, because we never know just how far it can take us. Have a great day, and we'll see you back here tomorrow morning.